Welcome to the Joy of Cruising podcast with your host, award-winning author Paul C. Thornton, a weekly conversation with the amazing cruisers featured in the Joy of Cruising books, comprised of The Joy of Cruising, Cruising Interrupted, new release, The Joy of Cruising Again, as well as other fun, informative global cruise personalities. It's the next best thing to cruising, hearing about cruising from the unique and diverse perspectives of Paul's amazing guests. If you hear about a cruise that interests you, book it at www.thejoyofacation.com or enter to win a free cruise for two. Again, www.thejoyofacation.com. We really appreciate your feedback, so leave us a text. Paul can't reply, but he may read your text on the air.
Hello, passionate cruisers. This is Paul, and I am delighted to welcome back to the Joy of Cruising podcast Sherry of Cruise Tips TV. Sherry is a special friend, having been featured in my first two cruise books, The Joy of Cruising and Cruising Interrupted, and then being my first choice for the initial episode of the Joy of Cruising podcast, which she graciously accepted, episode 1. Sherry returned to the podcast for episode 93. Today, Sherry becomes the second podcast guest to make a third appearance on the show. Cruise Tips TV has its own podcast, Cruise Tips TV Unplugged, as well as blog, YouTube channel, Instagram, and more. In fact, across all platforms, Sherry and Cruise Tips TV is one of the most followed and influential cruise brands in the world. It's been over a year, so I wanted to catch up with Sherry and especially to get her thoughts on her cruise to the United Arab Emirates, which Cheryl and I will be visiting this spring on a land trip. Welcome back, Sherry, to the Joy of Cruising podcast.
Thank you so much, Dr. Paul. I'm happy to be here as always. I feel like you and I have a wonderful history together, and it always makes me smile when I get to talk with you and your audience.
Thank you for saying that. I've reminded the listener, you were my very first podcast episode, and now you're one of the first to be on the podcast for the third time. And I look forward to introducing you to my listeners in 6 or 7 years from now. You'll be maybe the first to be on a podcast for 10 times.
I love it. I love it. Well, it's always fun. And I know we're going to have a great and unique conversation today.
So how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. Life is good. Business is good. My son is almost off on his summer break and we're doing great. Thank you for asking.
Now, speaking of your son, I have to ask, how's the family? Junior seems to be growing well into a young man.
Yes, he is. He's now 16. And I think we're at a point where I can officially say it's overwhelming as a mom to be like a teen mom. And I know you've been there, but it just seems like you wake up one day, you open your eyes and all of a sudden you're plunged into this new world of firsts, like driving and so many firsts. He's really becoming so much more independent. And I got to be honest, I'm not ready. I think he's ready. I'm not ready. I'm accepting and enjoying this beautiful phase, but I'm also in denial. But the family is good. He is good. He's a wonderful man, wonderful boy. And I'm just so excited to see where his life takes him.
Yeah. My granddaughter, who has been kind of over the years my cruising partner, she turned 16 in a couple of months. I feel like my partner is slipping away. Granddad.
Oh no.
Well, I can just sense Granddad is not like priority anymore. And I'm kind of joking, kind of feeling sorry for myself. I just love to cruise with her and don't have anything booked with her right now, but I'm sure we'll do something in the next year or so. Well, I'm glad you're back. We've got some listeners who are new since you were last on, or even those who have stuck with me probably need their memory refreshed, although I would think most cruise enthusiasts in the world know who Cruise Tips TV is. But share some background info for the listeners. Where you're from, where you live, Anything you would like to share?
Sure, happy to. Spent most of my life in California on the Central Coast. I was born and raised actually in San Diego, but went to college in the Central Coast area. And then after a period of time, my family and I decided we wanted to buy some land, and we moved to Texas and bought a farm. I know that sounds crazy. There are no animals on the farm. It's just a hay farm technically, but with a cute farmhouse. So we are now living in a totally different world. We love our lifestyle here, and we love the fact that we're close to, major airport. We've got great airports here in Texas, and that was a criteria for our move. I got to be driving distance from a port, and I've got to be within driving distance of an airport that's a great international airport. So it's been a big change, but a wonderful one. We started on YouTube in 2013, and we're YouTube creators. Our first video ever was a packing video. So helping people determine what to put in that suitcase, right? And then, over the years, we've done a lot of other things, from vlogging to ship tours to destination stuff, like, what should you do in Cozumel? What should you do in Palermo when you're in Italy, right? Like, so all those fun types of content touches. And now we also have a podcast we've had for many years called the Cruise Tips TV Unplugged podcast. And we do a lot on social media too. We spend a lot of time on Instagram. It's really fun to post little mini updates in between cruises, and also, short form videos over on Instagram and Facebook. And so that's a little bit about us.
How's your podcast going?
Really good. It's great. I think we've, unfortunately, we haven't been as consistent with it as we would like to be. Our typical format is every Wednesday, but the last 6 months of our lives have thrown some curveballs at us with our scheduling. And so we do about 3 podcasts a month on average, and it's so much fun. My husband and I co-host it together. And even though he's not on camera quickly, he is my co-host there. And that's the one place that we get to hear from him as well as me. And my son also tends to come on with mom ever so often, and just, talk about things that are topical to him as a teenager. And so it's a great show. We love it. I think I really feel flattered every single week that people are actually willing to put us in their earbuds for, 30 minutes to 45 minutes. It's such an honor to think you would want to listen to what we have to say for that long, but it's a special connection, I think, because of the fact that the shows are long.
So let's go way back, Sherry. Say something about how and when you first got into cruising.
Yeah, it was something that my mom got me into. My mom actually bought me a cruise on Carnival Ecstasy. She and I and my little brother, who's 4.5 years younger than me, went on a cruise for my high school graduation. Absolutely fell in love with cruising. I'm going to date myself here, and y'all are going to be able to do the math and figure out how old I am. But that was about 1990, 1991. And I totally fell in love with cruising, but I took a very long break from it after that, because I was in my young life, going to college, getting married, working, and we didn't have, the type of money to do a cruise, or at least we didn't think we did. Right. But fast forward to 2003, I had been telling my husband for years, I'm like, look, to get you on a cruise, because this is one cool way of traveling. And then once I got him hooked, it was all over. He was like, this is it for me. This is what I want to do. And the rest is history.
It's been over a year since you were last on the podcast. So that means that you've probably gone on 20 cruises in the interim. Catch us up on your cruising in the last year, up until besides the Euribia, because that's what we're gonna spend a little time on. Why don't you start with your latest cruise?
Yeah. Oh my goodness sakes. We have had some neat ones in the last year. The latest cruise is on Norwegian Aqua. She's a brand new ship, and she debuted over in Europe. So I did 3 voyages on Aqua in the last month, 2 of the international preview sailings over in Europe. And then I was able to come back to Miami and take my son with me and do the 3-night christening out of Miami. That's a beautiful ship. I love that Norwegian has gone smaller. It's not a massive ship. It is a 3,600 passenger vessel. And if you like mid-sized ships, this ship is glorious. Very fun. It has the world's first new hybrid water slide meets roller coaster. It's called the Aqua Slide Coaster, and it is so much fun. It is the ultimate teenager ship, but yet it is also the ultimate couples ship. I like to say that because even though there's a lot of fun stuff for teens like golf and an arcade, the ship has these elevated touches, really pretty poolside loungers, the cushions that are just, super thick and plush. They've got the Vibe Beach Club, they've got the Haven. So it's sort of got this like teen fun vibe, but yet a very romantic vibe too. So we did that, and that was so much fun.
So let me ask you, let me jump in. Is the Aqua the same class as the Viva and what's the other one? I can't remember.
Prima.
Yeah. Is that the same class or is it bigger?
It's the next iteration of the class. So it's called the Prima Plus class, and Viva and Prima are part of the Prima class, and it is bigger, but it's bigger in the sense that the guests who went on Viva and Prima said to Norwegian, they were very loudly saying, look, you built a smaller ship, but some of the venues don't work. Like you've got to, even though it's smaller, we need space for the popular stuff. So Norwegian did their best to shift things around, and they added a couple of blocks to the ship, bringing it to about, I think it was 2 11-meter blocks that made it significantly larger. And everyone I spoke to who's been on Prima and Viva, when they walked on, they said, oh my gosh, it feels bigger from the moment you step on board. You sense it in that atrium area, and then the pool deck big time, because they made the pool deck bigger. There's no go-kart track on this ship. So you've got all this, now you have more outdoor space too, and a bigger Vibe Beach Club. So yeah, it's similar.
That's my only hesitation to getting on Aqua. I've been on Norwegian several times, but I've never ridden a go-kart at sea. I've never been on one of their ships that has the go-karts, and that's sort of a little mini bucket list item. So I probably won't go on Aqua until I go on either Viva or Prima. In fact, I think it was in my first book, I have a photo of you getting on the go-karts. And ever since that photo, it's sort of been, kind of on my to-do list.
Yeah, it's fun and it's worth it. And there's lots of other ships. I'm Googling it right now to see which ships have the go-karts, because it's more than the Prima class. You can also do it on Bliss, Joy, and Encore.
Yeah. I do want to go though on Viva or Prima. I actually had, which one was it? I think it's Viva. I actually was booked on Viva for, or maybe it's Prima. Now I'm confused. I can't remember which. For the fjords, leaving out of Southampton in this winter or fall. But I tell you, I did cancel it. I'm going to try again, but when I looked at airfares to get to Southampton, I mean, it would have been cheaper, or just as I seriously considered just taking a cruise as my means of transportation, because the airfare was higher than the cruise.
Yeah, just taking a transatlantic over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I'd have to come back. But make a long story short, we canceled that trip. So I like the reviews on Aqua and Prima. I know that your typical NCL travelers mention that some of the venues are small, but I like the notion that it's kind of modeled on a boutique hotel. And I was just on a ship that totally has that model, Explorer Journeys, and I really, really like. It's like not even being on
amazing.
A cruise ship. So
yeah, did Explorer Journeys spoil you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know this is your time, so I'm not going to talk long, but I did a podcast on Explorer Journeys, and I think I said something to the effect of, once you go, have you been on Explorer Journeys?
No.
Okay. I said something to the effect that once you go on, it will be very, very difficult to go on other cruise ships. So we'll see. It's new, and so we'll see it, as I get other people who've gone on, we'll see who agrees with me on that. Sure. But let's go back to you. What else did you do since you last been on?
Before Norwegian Aqua, we went on Carnival Miracle out of Galveston. We did a 12-night cruise down to the Caribbean. That was a blast. I love older, smaller ships. Even though I love new ships too, I have a soft spot for the Spirit class ships on Carnival. We had a wonderful time on that one. And then, of course, before that was MSC Euribia, which we'll talk about in a minute. So I won't go into detail there, but that was our Middle East cruise. And then before that, it was when I was on Virgin Voyages Valiant Lady back in November. And I did a quick, I think it was was it maybe a 5-night Caribbean cruise? That blew my mind. We talked about that, right? A little bit. I think you and I.
Yeah, I think when we last chatted, you hadn't done it yet.
Yeah, I might not have. And
tell me your thoughts about Virgin Voyages.
I absolutely was going into it with skepticism, thinking, I don't know, am I too old? Is this not right for me? Am I not enough of a partier? Because I'm in bed by 10, I'm one of those people, and I love cruising with my family. So I was like, I can't take my family. This is weird. And I ended up having the time of my life. I loved the ship. I thought the food was outstanding. I liked some of the entertainment. I didn't like some of the other entertainment, but I liked more of it than I didn't like. Let's just put it that way. I think the ship is outstanding in its design. The dining concept really is so much more elevated. The Wake was my favorite restaurant, the steakhouse, seafood, whatever. It just fantastic. And I loved what is the buffet called? Is it called the galley?
Galley,
it's
yeah.
Not a buffet. Yeah. The food hall. Loved that concept. But let's just be honest. The best part has to be the hammock on your balcony. Like I could have just lived in there. I could have never, ever, ever gotten out of that hammock. It was such a funny little thing that could make such a big difference. But I was blown away. Loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
MSC Euribia Yacht Club, Middle East and United Arab Emirates. So there's actually a couple of things I want to ask you about because, I have had sort of mixed reviews about MSC from me as well as from guests. But MSC Yacht Club, I have had nothing but rave reviews. And I've never done the Yacht Club. So I want to hear about, your Yacht Club experience relative to your traditional MSC experience. But I also, as I mentioned to you, we are going to Dubai. So, I have selfish reasons for wanting to hear the inside scoop. But let me ask you, what motivated you to pursue this particular itinerary to begin with?
Well, we had always wanted to do like what you're doing is we wanted to go to Dubai. I think you think of, the Middle East, and maybe you don't know as much about other cities or other countries or other Emirates. You don't know as much about Qatar or Abu Dhabi or any of the other areas there, but you think Dubai, right? It sounds amazing. And my son's dream was to go and see the Burj Khalifa. He didn't even care about going up to the top of it. He just wanted to see the Burj Khalifa in Dubai. So we had seen these itineraries with MSC, and they had reached out to us about an opportunity to highlight their Yacht Club product, which we had cruised in the Yacht Club before, and they knew we loved it. We knew we loved it, but we kind of reached for the stars and said, we'd love to, but can you please send us over to the Middle East for a cruise on Euribia and the Yacht Club? And it all worked out, and we booked it, and it was just as amazing as you would think, right? It was all amazing except for one thing, and that is the flights getting there and back. It is extremely long flight from Texas, and the ride back, the second leg of our journey was 17 hours. 17-hour flight was our second leg coming home from Qatar, and I got to tell you, it was rough on me, but it was a spectacular trip. So that was what motivated it. My son had said, let's do this. And it just happened that his birthday fell during this time. And so we got to actually celebrate his 16th birthday in the yacht club. So
Wow.
yeah, yacht club is really cool. We had done the yacht club. We've done MSC Seaside. We sailed in an Aria balcony, which is like it's out in the general population on MSC with a few perks. Like the main perk at the time was you got Aria spa access. Anytime you wanted, you go in the spa, and that was really nice. So my first cruise on MSC was a normal balcony, and I did really like that. But my second cruise with MSC was in the yacht club on MSC Meraviglia, and that's where I had that experience that you had on Explorer Journeys, where I thought, how will I ever do anything else? Because you're just so relaxed. You come into this ship within a ship concept, and everything's so quiet and contained, and you've got your own restaurant, your own bar, your own sun deck, your own pool, your outdoor dining, your indoor dining, and a butler and a concierge, and it's like, but even just the size of the stateroom or the suite is enough to make you feel a little more special. So we did stay in the yacht club for the Dubai trip, and it was absolutely wonderful, just as I'd remembered it. I have also stayed in Norwegian's Haven. I did do 3 nights in the Haven recently, and it is a similar product. In terms of the way it feels in the complex, it's real similar. The rooms are real similar. I'd say that the biggest thing that, the difference is probably the food, because, and I didn't know this comparatively, I didn't know how the food was going to be if you're comparing the Haven and the yacht club until I had done the yacht club. But it is true that especially when you're not cruising from the US, the food on MSC is different. And I think it's people's biggest beef because it is more Mediterranean. And so if you're cruising in the Caribbean, they're generally going to make every effort to Americanize the food. But when you step outside of the US and your guests are more geared to European guests, the cruise line is going to accommodate them more than they're going to accommodate American tastes. So, your shrimp might still have the head on. The fish is probably going to have the skin on. The flavors are going to be less seasoned and less saucy, and it's just different than what we're used to. So I think it's true that that MSC's food does not please everyone, and that is true as well of the yacht club. Although I never had a dish I didn't love in the in the yacht club, it's outstanding. It's just that I can see how Americans would find it to be a little unusual.
Now,
Yeah.
when I went on MSC, and I want to know how Yacht Club deals with this, but when I went on MSC, I thought the food tasted fine, both
Hmm.
in the main dining room, at the buffet,
Hmm.
and then we did specialty restaurants as well. So
Yeah.
so so we did not, or I did not have issues with the food. What I
Right.
had a big issue with, and it was food related, and I've only had one data point. I went on MSC Meraviglia and not in the yacht club. There was no complimentary food other than the buffet and the main dining room. First of all, it was like all buffet all the time,
Hmm.
but also just the crowds and and the demeanor of people, and it just was unpleasant, which at least for people who cruise on Meraviglia, and I don't know if the other ships have that same problem, it makes it a once and done. If you're
Hmm.
coming from a line like Carnival
Hmm.
or Royal Caribbean or NCL, which everywhere you turn, there's something to eat other than the buffet. So if you take, now you said you did the yacht club on Meraviglia. On the yacht club, were you able to eat anytime you wanted?
They do have poolside snacks and snacks in the lounge that are between meal type things, and it did make a difference. So they had like a grill outside that had food things between meals, and then you'd find little snacks snacks inside that were nice. Some of the MSC ships have poolside dining, a little like some poolside stuff that you can do too. I don't think all of them have that. But I see what you mean. And it's not something I really thought about, but you're right. I think on some of the ships, I noticed that too. But Euribia definitely had poolside eateries that were free.
Well, one thing MSC definitely has is gorgeous, gorgeous hardware. Walk us through the Euribia. Am I saying it right, Euribia?
Sure. I think it's Euribia. But that's okay. I don't think it matters too much these days how we pronounce stuff, right? It's like, you know what? It's hard to say, but I mean, the ship is beautiful. So Euribia was actually named after a goddess called Euribia. And apparently the goddess Euribia harnessed the winds and weather to like master the seas. So there's some history there. The ship itself has been around since 2023. So she's still pretty darn new ship. And they christened it in June of 2023. And it is actually part of the Meraviglia Plus class. Like we were talking earlier about the Prima class, Prima Plus class. This is part of the Meraviglia Plus class. And it's a big ship. It holds, over 6,000 people.
23. Well, that's like a brand new ship.
Yeah, exactly. They launched it in June of 2022 and then christened it in June of 2023. Yeah. So it is a very new ship. I think the first sailings were 2023 though. It's really new. Maybe flew under the radar just a little bit, maybe because of the places that it cruises. It's a lot of cruises over in Europe and the Middle East.
So does it depart out of the U.S. at all? I'm sorry for interrupting.
I'm not sure.
Does it depart out of the U.S. at all?
Right now, from what I'm seeing, no. From what I see now, it's Southampton, Genoa, Lisbon, Copenhagen, and then, of course, the Middle East. So as of now, I don't think so. Yeah, and it's an LNG ship too. So this is the one that has the liquefied natural gas instead of the traditional marine fuels. So that's kind of the wave of the future, and it helps to reduce those greenhouse gases. So it's definitely a big part of cruising's future. But it's a beautiful ship, really pretty hull art, quite large, lots of pools. This ship has 5 pools on it, which is pretty amazing. And it has a Galleria Euribia. And of course, a lot of people compare that to Royal Caribbean's Royal Promenade. It has that similar look with the LED screen on the top. Lots of stuff for families and kids and a beautiful thermal spa. So that's kind of the overview.
Is this about the same, bigger, anything different with the ceiling show?
It's pretty similar. I don't know about size as it compares to Meraviglia, but I remember thinking, wow, it's very grand, very beautiful when I was on both ships. This one probably is bigger, if we're being honest. The shows were just absolutely outstanding. I think different restaurants along there. I don't remember what's on Meraviglia, but I know they have the Mexican food place downstairs and they have the Japanese food places upstairs along the stairs. And it really makes for a neat place to eat. Kind of like, it's like being, you're safe indoors and you don't have to deal with the weather, but you still have like terraces everywhere, which is a really unique look for this ship.
And you like their shows. I found their shows just okay.
Yeah. I've had mixed experiences with the shows. Some of them I loved on MSC. I actually don't think I only went to one show on this one, and it was interesting. It was like as kind of like a robotic type of a thing. My son thought it was cool. I can't say I was wowed by the entertainment, but again, they're having to appeal to a very international audience. So their storylines are going to be a little bit different, where it's not going to be as much spoken stuff, right? It's when you've got that many languages from converging from around the world, they're looking to perform in ways that don't require a lot of language. So I think that's part of it, but I can't say they're my favorite for entertainment.
Talk about the cultural and social elements of a holiday in the United Arab Emirates. Give us some cruise tips.
Yeah.
Give us some tips and tricks as
Sure.
near future visitors to United Arab Emirates.
Yeah. And I think people get a little bit afraid of this. I think they're thinking, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Do ladies have to cover themselves from head to toe in clothing all the time? What's it going to feel like? Do I have to wear, long sleeves all the time? And the truth is, when you're out and about in the major areas of Dubai and other areas, and you're a tourist, you can probably wear the things that you would normally wear. If you are in a place of worship, a mosque, a temple, or you are in local areas where locals live, shop, work, eat, you should dress more conservatively, cover your arms, potentially take a scarf with you to cover your arms and things like that, and just be respectful. If you are visiting a mosque, it is very likely they will have a very strict dress code that requires women to cover their heads and potentially even wear a gown. But if that is the case, there's probably some kind of a store or a rental place or an outlet right at the entrance, and your guide will take you there and outfit you before you go into it. So it doesn't require all of this planning and preparation. Ladies, if they're packing for the UAE, might want to pack a few more long sleeves, long flowy pants instead of tight clothing. Tight clothing is also frowned upon, but you're going to see people wearing very Western clothing there. I saw more jean shorts than I cared to when I was at the Dubai Mall, like Daisy Duke short shorts, which it's kind of upsetting, to be honest. People were kind of disregarding it, but in the hotels and things like that, you're going to see Western dress. Similarly, while we're talking about cultural norms, it is frowned upon to have any physical display of affection in those areas. So you shouldn't be on the streets kissing your wife, holding hands, doing a lot of touching. That is not good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. And it's a little weird, but yeah, it's not, in general, if you wanted to hold hands or as a little sign of affection is fine. But if you're in like a public transpo, you're not going to be kissing or something, right? You're not going to get put in jail, but you're trying to be sensitive to their norms. With that said, I think there is a misunderstanding about how women are treated in many of these Emirates and countries. And in fact, it is very wrong to assume that women are treated poorly here. It is actually a very matriarchal society, and women hold almost all of the money. They hold the wealth. And if you go there, your tour guides are going to educate you appropriately and tell you, no, we worship women. There are other countries in the Middle East where that may not be the case, right? Where there may be more oppression and things like that. But it is absolutely not true. In the United Arab Emirates, for the most part, women are revered. They just have a different culture, and the public etiquette is simply different. Now, the other thing that you may find is when you're at a place of worship, there are rules about photography. So if you go to a mosque, which most people will, for example, if you go to Abu Dhabi and you go to one of the beautiful, beautiful mosques, you must do that. You really are not supposed to take photos in certain areas. There are areas where it is fine, and there are areas where if you get caught taking certain types of photos, or if you take off your covering, say a woman was an influencer and thought, likes to dress a certain way and thought, I'm going to take off my covering and my tank top in front of this place of worship. There may be a security guard that will approach you and say, no, I'm going to delete that from your phone. Wrap back up. You cannot do that. So there is etiquette you should be aware of, but there are also many, many misconceptions around it. So I think for most people, it's best to just don't panic. Just look up what the dress etiquette it is, the PDA etiquette, and do go there. It is phenomenal. It is also incredibly safe. One of the safe, I don't know if I've ever been anywhere where I felt safer. So that probably has a lot to do with their very strict laws and rules. But as a tourist, it's a wonderful place to visit, and you probably are going to feel comfortable even as a woman alone walking on the streets at night.
This has been very helpful. Clearly, I will do. I mean, I'm doing my research process now by asking you these questions. But clearly, I'm going to do a lot more research. We do have now. This is a land vacation that we're on, but we do have tours booked in sacred places, both in Dubai and Abu Dhabi.
Wonderful.
So now, men, I guess there's nothing special as far as men,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Dress.
You're going to see most men in t-shirts and jeans.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. And even at a place of worship, they're not going to cover. My husband and son wore collared shirts and pants, and they were perfectly fine. It was the women who covered. So yeah.
So closing thoughts about the cruise.
Mm-hmm.
MSC Euribia to Middle East and United Arab Emirates. I can sense you would recommend it.
Very much so. I think that one thing that people need to know about this region is there's so much more than just Dubai. I am so glad to hear you're going to Abu Dhabi as well, because Abu Dhabi and Qatar are absolutely stunning. They are cleaner, smaller, and when I say cleaner, I mean what has happened in Dubai. There's so much growth and there's so much bustling. It kind of looks like Las Vegas at this point, and it's very dusty. Like everywhere you go, it has this cloudy look. When you go to Abu Dhabi and you go to Qatar, the blue skies are going to shine through, and you're going to see that juxtaposition against the sea and the buildings. And it's probably kind of what Dubai used to be, right? Before it became an expat haven. But I actually preferred both Abu Dhabi and Qatar to Dubai by far. And would want to go back. Yeah, just absolutely stunning. So I think that's what people need to know is there's more than just Dubai. Also, Dubai is massive. You cannot see it on 1 or 2 days on a cruise ship. That is something that I could go back there for 7 days and barely do it all. But I still would recommend a cruise as a way to see the region. Definitely book yourself some excursions if you do this. You can do hop on, hop off buses though, like in places like Dubai, and see a lot. It doesn't have to be a fancy excursion. But if you are going to Abu Dhabi, be sure to try to get out in the desert, do some off-road stuff, some outdoor types things if you can. And if you have the opportunity to go on a cruise, there is a private destination type vibe at this place called Surbani Yas. Surbani Yas is an island. It isn't really owned by the cruise lines. It is like, it feels kind of like MSC Ocean Key Reserve, right? Where it has a private beach, it has a yacht club private beach, and it's absolutely beautiful. So if you ever see Surbani Yas on your itinerary, that's a fun place to go. And it's just a nice beach day, or you can take a safari to the interior there, which is kind of intriguing too.
It's funny. I normally, when I go on cruises, I think about, is this a place I would like to come back to on an extended land vacation? Here's one where I think I'm doing it sort of backwards, because, I got a feeling we're going to like this other than the flight. Yuck. We're going to like this land trip. But having heard you, I think I want to take a cruise. So, I could easily see us going back on the MSC Euribia. So, I'm doing it opposite of what I say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And I think you're doing it the right way, because then you can relax on the cruise when you go back. Right. Yeah. You're going to go do the hardcore tourist thing right now, right? Like you're going to go to Dubai, you're going to do all the things. But then when you go back, you'll be like, I've been here. Now I can relax and kind of chill. I like the order that you're doing it in.
Yeah. And that private island that you mentioned, that was on your itinerary, right?
Yeah. And it was funny. We booked it kind of last minute. So we didn't spend a lot of time planning excursions or anything. So when we got on the ship and we talked to the staff, we're like, what is Surbani Yas? Should we do something? They're like, oh, it's like MSC Ocean K. It's like a beach day. It's an island. I'm like, wait, this is so cool. I never even knew you'd have something like that over there. We just floated in the water the whole day. And I think there was a high salt content in the water, because we just kind of floated on the top. It was the weirdest thing, but really fun.
Let's talk about the future. What do you have booked?
I'm actually working on trying to get myself up to Alaska early season. I'm very much a last minute cruise person. So I'm working on that. I want to get back onto princess cruises this summer. I want to go this summer. I'm hoping to get myself booked to go to Celebration Key, Carnival's new destination. That would be something I think my family would love. So I want to cover that for our audience. I really want to go back to Japan on a cruise, but the airfares right now are killing me. They are so much money. I'm waiting for that to change. But I'd like to do Northern Europe. We've got so many dreams, Dr. Paul.
Well, based on every time I talk to you, seems like with the things that you're doing, it seems like your bucket list should be whittling down. What's left on it?
On my bucket list, the I'd say top bucket list would be Antarctica, Norway, and the Northern Europe stuff. I haven't done that at all. And honestly, Tahiti and her islands, the South Pacific, those are pretty high on my list.
As you check off bucket list items, let me know and we'll get you back on.
You know I will.
So, as you know, Sherry, before we let you go, we always throw in a couple of light, even fun questions. Let me just take this time to say welcome to the Cruise Tips TV fans and friends who are listening, so that your friends and my listeners can get to know you better. Let me ask a few questions I like to ask repeat guests. Tell my listeners and your friends, how do you spend your me time?
I love to cook. I love shopping. I know it sounds ridiculous to say, of course, everyone loves shopping. Well, maybe not. I love spending time with my family. I love going on Sunday drives. I love doing projects around my home.
You say you love to cook. Do you have a signature dish?
Not really. I have a thing that I think I love to make that my mom used to make when I was growing up. We call it chicken tortillas. And it's basically like a chicken enchilada casserole that I'll never make it as good as my mom, but it's like shredded up tortillas with all kinds of yummy things and all kinds of cheese and green chilies. And I think if someone who lives in Texas, or maybe you watch Chip and Joanna Gaines, you might know it as King Ranch casserole. It's very similar to that.
Okay.
So I do love like one pan wonder kinds of dishes.
What are you listening to right now in terms of music, podcasts, or audiobooks?
Oh, well, since I just got off Norwegian Aqua, their entertainment just blew me away. And you know me, I don't always even go to the shows. I'm like in bed by 10, like I said. But they have this new show called Revolution, a Celebration of Prince. And I love Prince. But ever since I've seen the show now twice, I've been listening to Prince on repeat at home, like all my faves, dancing around the kitchen while I make my casserole. And I also have had a weird interest now after going on Norwegian Aqua in Fleetwood Mac. They play the entire Rumors album on Norwegian Aqua in the main theater with an incredible cover band that nails it with Fleetwood Mac. I didn't even like Fleetwood Mac when I saw this show, so I feel like I've been influenced, but it's been fun.
Well, I am a Prince fanatic, so let me just ask you, do they use a Prince impersonator, or is it a band playing Prince music?
It's a full band playing the music, and it is 4 vocalists who alternate as Prince.
Okay.
One of which is a woman, 3 men and 1 woman, and actually two women and 2 men. And it just works. I think it's outstanding. I've got an Instagram reel, which I think is also up on YouTube as a short that goes behind the scenes at the creative studios that in Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings has their creative studios in Tampa. And they invited me out there to see the show in production. And at that time we were able to show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you could hear some of the music, but it's the fact that you have a full band behind it makes it the hair on the back of your neck stand up. It's that good. When they play Purple Rain and the guy sits down and he's got the purple velvet jacket on, you're just like a little teary-eyed. You're starting to get a little verklempt and the hair is standing up on the back of your neck. And it's just absolutely phenomenal.
So it's not a person that's trying to come across as Prince. It's just someone who is doing kind of a tribute to Prince.
It's 4 vocalists doing his songs. There is one guy who is the vocalist who he does try to look a little more like Prince than the other 3, but he's not trying to impersonate him. But they do incorporate a lot of Prince's moves into it, because the whole show is accompanied by an entire group of dancers, which honestly, Prince did that a lot. He had dancers and backup singers on the stage. So a lot of these folks are dancing, backup singing. So it's a huge troupe.
Okay.
Also, I'll DM you a little bit of the show so you can see it. They don't allow video and photo, so I don't have much I can publish, but it is really, to me, it was executed phenomenally. And I don't know how they could have done it any better, personally.
That sounds exciting. I'm not going to be going on Aqua like anytime real soon. I do have a land trip to Vegas later in the year. And so I probably will try. I've seen Michael Jackson show, the one everyone should see in Vegas. There's a couple of competing Prince shows, and I'm going to go to I'm going to go to one of those.
I'd be very curious to hear what that's like.
Okay. How about television and movies? Anything to turn my listeners on to?
I don't have like cable TV, so I only watch stuff on repeat, but I will tell you, I'm watching the entire Lost series that came out forever ago. I'm on season 3, and I'm really enjoying that. And my family and I are watching the entire Frasier series, and it is hilarious and super funny and super clever. So I'm kind of enjoying that right now, but nothing new.
Okay. Hey, let's have a little fun, or it could be a little disaster. In a recent episode, totally unplanned, a guest turned the table on me and asked me a couple of rapid fire questions that I was not prepared for, because, I didn't know he was going to do that. And that's why I said it could be a disaster. It turned out to be fun. I now, I'm starting to get guests who are here for the 3rd time, like yourself. So rapid fire style, ask away 2 or 3 questions that you have for me.
Sure. Okay. So have you booked another Virgin cruise yet?
Yes, I am going on Brilliant Lady in March.
Ooh, March of next year. Okay. That's exciting. Okay.
Yeah, yep.
So you said rapid fire.
Yeah, I hope, I don't know, have you have connections? Have you heard anything? I'm hoping Brilliant Lady has something different than the other ships.
Right.
They're all identical. Have you heard anything?
I know. No, I haven't. I haven't really looked into it though, but I'll see if I can figure something out for you.
All right.
I love it. It's so true. Okay, next one. What are 2 things that you're doing in Dubai and Abu Dhabi when you visit there?
Well, 2 things, and I'm glad you asked me that, because I meant to ask you. You said your son was really interested in Burj Khalifa, so that's one of my answers. My goal is to go to as far up as I can go. Did he do that?
No, we opted not to because we had limited time and we were doing the hop on, hop off. But what we did love is the Dubai Mall, which the Burj Khalifa. The Dubai Mall rests at the base, and the waterfall shows around there are all free. And we just decided we didn't want to spend $300 to go to the top. I think tickets.
Whoa! Wait! $300 to go to the top of Burj Khalifa?
I think some of the tickets can be like $100 a person. There's something that's as low as $48, but it is very expensive to go up. So I think, let me see here what the tickets to the top cost. I'm looking right now.
Isn't it like an office building? I mean, how do people go to work? Don't people work on the upper floors?
I know. I'm sure they have a different elevator, right? But yeah, check out the packages at the Burj Khalifa, because I can't convert it right now because maybe I can get it to go into, it's in AED instead of United States dollars, and I don't have my conversion app in front of me, but I think it's pretty pricey. I am sure it would be spectacular at the top. I think it's worth it. Because we were there for just the day, when we saw the line to go to the Burj Khalifa. It was inside the mall. It was winding around like an amusement park. And I just not do that. I don't want to stand in a line for hours to get somewhere. So, but I do think it's worth it. But know that you can also enjoy it from the bottom, and that the mall area there and the waterfall shows are spectacular.
I may be changing my plans to go to the top of Burj Khalifa, but I will at least get to appreciate all that I can of Burj Khalifa. So that you said name two things. That's one. The other is, now I don't know if this is the same mall you're referring to, but there's a mall where there's a ski resort inside.
That we didn't get to do that I really want to do because I love snow skiing, but there's two of them. There's the one with the snow skiing, and then there's a Dubai mall, and then there's the Mall of the Emirates. So those are two different separate things. I think Ski Dubai might be at the other one. And I think, let's see here. I'm checking to see which one is which. Ski Dubai is, let's see here. Anyway, are you going to ski?
No, I just want to be able to take pictures and say, well, I don't know. I shouldn't say no that fast. We'll see.
Yeah.
Because I don't
that one's
ever
by
see
Mall of
me,
the Emirates.
I don't ever see me skiing outside, like real skiing. So this may be a way to say I've done something that very few other people in the world have done. So I shouldn't say no so quickly. We'll see.
I feel like there's a lot of other things to do there. Like when I'm looking at pictures, I see penguins. So I don't know. There's got to be other things to do. But yeah,
penguins. I'm used to penguins near Antarctica. So
yeah, I think that Ski Dubai is located adjacent to Mall of the Emirates, and the Dubai Mall is the one with Burj Khalifa, I think.
Okay.
But there's so much to do there. There's ice skating. There's just a gazillion different things to do. It's a total it's a tourist paradise.
Well, Sherry, it has been great chatting with you again. Thank you so much for coming back on the Joy of Cruising podcast. I am reasonably certain, let's say I am hoping you will be back as a 4-time guest. Until then, all the best to you and your family. And as I like to say, we'll see you on the ocean.
I appreciate you. Thanks for having me back on.
The Joy of Cruising and Cruising Interrupted, each $16.99 plus shipping, and new release, The Joy of Cruising Again for $18.99 can be ordered at the link on thejoyofcruisingpodcast.com. For each of the 3 books, use the discount code Joy of Cruising Podcast and get $4 off. The Joy of Cruising books are also available at Amazon. Order the ebook at Amazon or your favorite online retailer. Stay in touch by joining the Joy of Cruising Podcast Facebook group or following the Joy of Cruising Podcast on Instagram. We're constantly adding new shows. Please leave a review and tell a friend about us. We hope you enjoyed this brief escape to the ocean. See you next week.